Hey everybody, Mariner here again, and welcome to Net That Hall and another matchup show where we're going to have a look at the numbers and matchups for a single game week. About time too, I think, and also take a look back on the double game week 27. As always, if you enjoy what you're hearing, enjoy what you're seeing, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the bell for future notifications when we go live or when we drop a recording. And as for this week, who better to help us than, as always, we've got Gabe. And this week, we have Surya, all about FPL. Hi, chaps. How's things?
Good morning, fellas.
Yeah. Okay, you
look tired, Gabe.
What do you mean? I always look this way.
And Surya will be very happy because about the cricket, but we're not talking about that because I haven't spoken to you for ages. So we're going to move straight past that. Dodgy umpires, dodgy wickets. I'm not having any of this.
Did Premier League referees get sent to the cricket?
Just about the same sort of standard, mate. Really, if you ask me. But anyway, it's a football podcast, not a cricket one. So let's. Yeah. Although we have got a few Indian viewers on who probably enjoy that anyway. Right, so let's crack on. Let's get into it, and let's see what happened this last game week just gone. And as always, we start with the 2-minute reviews. And this week, the first person to do his review is... It's me, again. I'm on a bit of a run, boys, aren't I? So let's have a quick look. So, anyway, first of all, didn't Martinez get robbed of a bonus point? I heard a little rumour that there was a bit of some daylight robbery going on, and that actually meant I got my keeper the wrong way around. Areola outscored him. Can you believe it? I wouldn't have expected that against Liverpool. I really wouldn't. Yeah, crazy. The big benefit for me this week, forget the City defence. We're going to come on to that later. I think we've got problems there now. Luke Shaw, what a star. What an absolute star for me. Clean sheet and a goal. And to be honest, 14 points when most people had him on the bench and didn't get him off the bench, which I was very happy about. It's made a big difference for me. Fernandez scored. I said he would shit out a penalty, and he did. I expected him to do something like that. Gundogan, well, he went into the box once and scored once. I think he had one touch in the box. So, Mo Salah, oh dear. But I think there may be a last hurrah. Son has turned into the assister, not the scorer nowadays, by the looks of things. Bamford, Gabe gave him a name earlier. I don't know whether I dare repeat it, but not doing so well at this moment in time, although I think we're going to have to hold him for a couple more weeks. Kane, excellent as always. Antonio, apparently, I didn't see it, but apparently dreadful. So that's another little bit of a concern. And look at my Fulham guys on the bench. Look, 17 points from Fulham defence away at Anfield. What on earth is going on in this world? And 7 seconds to go. My rank, 4.2k, up from 5.2k. And I think I'm somewhere around 150 points from first place. Which will not happen. But I am now, I have to say, I'm genuinely starting to think that I may be able to finish in a 3-digit finish. Mm-hmm. And I think that's my target now. So, very happy indeed. It's going well. So that's me. Without further ado, we'll go on to who was the second highest scorer of the week. Surya, fire away, mate.
Yeah, but when you look at the scene here, it's just Kane and nothing else. I think we have to start the timer. You have to start the timer. Yeah, I'm waiting for the timer to go on. Yes.
I mean, look at it though. I mean, Kane, 38 points. You can't. I mean, kudos for putting the captaincy on him. It was brave. The only other person who was brave enough, it's not even a person. The only other thing which was brave enough to captain Harry Kane was the cat.
Cat.
Yeah.
Definitely on that. Yeah. But the thing is, it was always due. If you would have asked me, he looked bright in the double game week as well, but then it was unfortunate not to get on there. But triple captain, it was a bit disappointing, but I always knew that he would come good because he's someone who thrives in form, and he doesn't miss that much of big chances often. And that showed that strike against Palace showed everything of what a supremely talented striker he is. Yeah, and then Bamford is lost cause. Rafinha is a lost cause this game week, and my defense is horrendous. 1-1-0-1. It's like.
That's like a Ryan Brewster scoring road.
Exactly.
Isn't it? 1-1-0-1, Mr. Binary.
Two City defenders who had a double game week. They gave me a combined 2 points.
I had the same problem.
Yeah,
we're going to have to discuss City defense. I'm sure there will be questions about City defense later on, and whether there's going to be a swing. So let's leave that point for now. What's your rank, mate?
Yeah, it's I was into the top 100K after Kane called, but then after City's game, it's back to 120K, another green arrow. So knocking around the 100K now. So with the wild card and the bench boost left, so hopefully top 50K is what I'm looking at. Maybe a wild card and game with 31. So maybe a couple of Maverick moves in the next coming weeks. Bale's one in my mind. So that's the planning. So the wildcard is still left there, and I've been able to get green arrows for the last couple of weeks with having not wildcarded. So it's all good now. Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll get you on for game week 31 for your wild card then. So pencil that one in. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna need that. I look forward to seeing that one. Okay, then let's move on then. Gabe, I'm not sure how long this is going to take.
I'm done. Good.
Over to you.
I mean,
do I need to start the clock?
Not really. I mean, I took a chance on bringing Tierney in for a hit, and it should have paid off. He should have had a mega haul, but Xhaka hit the ball to Wood's chest, and Pepe shanked a perfect pass that should have been an assist. So. And I'm starting to think. I think Dean is a troll for me. This in a similar way that Barnes is. There are certain players that we just and it's not the same for everyone, right? That we just can't own. Every time I bring Dean in, everything looks good, and then he just disappoints. He never gets me points. Cancelo and Stones. We'll talk about City a little bit later. Gundogan, fine captain. Happy with that. Gundogan is playing deeper. He's not getting beyond the front four as much, but he's still doing that role of being that late run into the box. The problem is when City's been playing lately, there hasn't been any time, so he doesn't make it into the box. But that idea and that concept is still there. But again, we'll talk more about City later. Salah, what can you say about Salah? Disappointing. And Shitford, Ashford, Fuckford. I got all sorts of names for this guy. Another guy I cannot stand owning, Bamford. I think he's a bad player, and he feels bad when he blanks on my team. Even when he returns, I don't feel great about it. So I'm looking to get Bamford out just for sanity. Kane. Whatever. It's a must own right now, but I'm not happy owning Kane either. I'm not happy with any of these guys. I've lost all the games that I had on my triple captain have disappeared. I don't even know what my rank is anymore. And my new goal is maybe 100K, but hell, if I stay in the top million, I'll probably be happy.
God. I mean, I just love it this morning. I've got to sell Shitford. I was like, who? And then I worked out who you meant. Oh my god! I mean, look, you've got to keep Bamford for the next two games for 29 and 30, surely. Because, even I'm looking at getting rid of Leeds assets after 30. Probably, I think Sheffield United might be their last hurrah. Mo Salah's last hurrah may well come this week. I mean, it's a shame. And Rudiger, of course, you bench. You didn't bench him. You played him. I take it, did you?
Yeah, I played Rudiger.
And then he didn't start either.
He didn't start.
Oh dear.
I mean,
Anyway.
I had Shitford on the bench, and Rudiger starting, hoping for the clean sheet.
Oh God. Oh God. Anyway,
I mean, I sold Bruno. I sold Shaw. I sold everyone that's hauling right now. I sold on my wild card. It's a disaster. Moving on.
Anyway, right, let's get into the next parts then. We'll try and rattle through these so we can get on with the main event as usual. So, okay, so some notable performances. And one team trumped Manchester City consistently, or fairly consistently, and that was Southampton of all people. They had 2 games. Ward-Prowse topped XG with 1.76, albeit one of them was a penalty. Kevin De Bruyne, 1.32 off 2 games. Lingard, 1.23, but of course he can't play this week. But solid asset, I think, now. Surprisingly, surprised me. XA, Kane tops it with 0.98. KDB with 0.95. Bale with 0.66. Big chances. Ward-Prowse, 2. Adams, 2. Adams? I have to admit, I think I owe somebody an apology because I think I told somebody to not go anywhere near Adams last week, and look what he did. Wood, 2 big chances, although one of them was on a Granit Xhaka-shaped plate, I think. I think that's one way of putting that one. Lingard, 2 big chances, and Pepe, 2 big chances in 17 minutes. We'll come back to him as well. Shots in the box, KDB, 5, 4 on target. Impressive. Orba, 4, only 1 on target. Saka, 4, none on target. That's an interesting one. Be interesting to debate that one, I think, going forwards. And Mahrez, 3 big chances, shots in the box, and 3 on target. So that's the sort of like the notable performances, boys. Did you see anything, or you want to add anything on that, Surya?
Yeah, I think Bale was once again very much into the run of play. I think he was, maybe I would even say, a better asset if you don't have Son. So I was one considering Bale once again. So he's someone as a streak player. I watched him a lot of times at Madrid, and he goes on at these many run of games wherein he's simply unstoppable and unplayable. And I think that's one of those areas that kind of run of games for him. So I think a very good asset. He definitely passed my eye test. So Bale is one. Ward-Prowse is again he's good, and with Ings not there and penalties again, maybe another great asset that passed my eye test.
Yeah. And Gabe, anything from your perspective, which you saw?
I mean, so like I said, I didn't get to watch many games this weekend. I was just a bit busy with other things, and also watching games in other leagues. There were some great games this past weekend, but I want to mention some notable XGIs. Digne from West Brom. He's always in and around it. He's maybe missing that end product, but he had an XGI of 1.08 in the last match, which is 4th best. Saka, to your point, Mariner, he missed all his chances, but expected goal involvement over 1 as well. Maja, I really like this kid. I've seen some people like bringing him up on Twitter. There've been some threads about him as well. This is I think this could be a really nice pick at 5.5. He had an XGI of 0.95. So yeah, I think those are the ones that I would mention.
Yeah, interesting. I think, again, Saka, I think I've cooled on him a little bit. I think perhaps because I think maybe he's a little bit wasteful. I know he's very cheap, but I think perhaps he's a little bit wasteful. I think if I go for an Arsenal asset, I think it's Orba or bust actually for me now. I think having looked at that, being honest with you.
If I remember correctly, Saka, he was quite clinical when Arsenal kind of began to gain some form. when they're relying on the young players. Saka was clinical for a while, and he's wasteful now. So I don't really know who he is yet, or like what he is.
We've been talking about this skinny mid, and look, we've got Jota now. I think is going to start coming back into people's minds. Not least because people are thinking of axing Salah off. People like Saka, clearly, another option for sure. So that's notable performances. Now what we'll do is we'll move on to the Hall of Shame. And this week I have presented the Hall of Shame. It's actually for a number of weeks, actually. I'm giving it to Crystal Palace's attack. It is it's like watching paint dry. As I said last week, that Fulham clean sheet was as obvious as death and taxes. It really was. It was so obvious. And this week it just carried on. Although Benteke did score, but Benteke was the only player to have an XG above 0.01 on the entire side. So Zaha had 0.01 and everybody else had 0, including now serial offender, Eze now, who I think had a shout out for the last 4 weeks with 0 and 0. But now, War is only playing him for 45 minutes now. So, but he's still got 0. Ayew, 0 and 0 off 90. Trossard, 0-0. Now, Zaha's coming back, but will that make a difference? It probably will. I think it probably will. But I have to say, I don't know if I was a Crystal Palace fan, I'd be over impressed at this moment in time. Guys, anything you want to add on that?
I think, except for the fact that the whole whiteboard was clean sheet, nothing. They didn't do anything much in that game.
No.
Having said that, Crystal Palace's dependency on Zaha has been always that for the last couple of seasons, and this season it has been even more. Maybe things might change, but I think even then, even today on Zaha, through which things flow. So I don't see much of it impacting the fortune.
But when we come on to the fixture difficulties in a minute, and we see West Brom a bright green against them, that says it all.
The thing is that there are a couple of other teams who fare worse than Palace, so that people don't talk more about a deep dive into Palace. So that's West Brom and Newcastle, who are in the Hall of Shame when you take into teams. So there's not much of a talk about Palace, but then they have been equally awful last week.
But what to say? We like to it's a light-hearted moment, but I feel a bit sorry for the Crystal Palace fans particularly. And Gabe, this is for you, mate. This next one is for you.
Well, I'd like to
joint winners.
Come on, man.
Nicholas Pepe and Granit Xhaka for all Tierney owners. And I've got especially Gabe in my notes.
I hit shot out for Tierney. Come on.
Oh man. I feel super sorry for you. As I say, you've already covered it, so we don't need to go over it again.
The week. I think we can put my FPL team on there because my backup goalkeeper outscored 11 of my players.
I love that. I love that stat. That is one of the best stats I've heard all week. That does. You know me. I thrive on misfortune. And that's misfortune at this level. To be honest, you had the similar problem the other week when your entire team didn't score as much as your triple captain.
Well, that's a good problem to have. I'll take that. That problem every week.
Anyway, I've got some more mentioned. I didn't reach out on Twitter very briefly. If I've missed any, please accept my apologies. But we also had, what we're doing now is I don't even have to ask for them. I'm getting people sending me them now. So other notable mentions, the scout picks, the official scout picks had a 75% fail rate this week. So a slight improvement. But they've also said sell Mo Salah. So you know what to do now then, boys.
Yeah. Slight improvement, but in fairness, it couldn't get any worse than the previous week.
It really can't. And then there's just a few general shout outs. FPL Marcella, Man City Defence, Gabriel Jesus, perhaps. That was a silly penalty to give away, wasn't it? Helped me a great deal, but it was a silly penalty to give away. FPL Swang is still livid with Brighton. And he's just now, instead of Dunk, which he put forward last week as the troll, he's now put the entire Brighton team up for a nomination.
I think that's so.
We've also got the entire Liverpool team, or specifically Liverpool at Anfield. So we've got a few. So anyway, that's okay. So that's the review. Now, what I want to do now is I just want to give everybody a little bit of an announcement as we move on to the next section, and it's some good news. And we have a new show announcement which we're going to make today. Gabe and I are delighted to announce that Nima, that's FPLNima, has agreed to join Gabe and I for a full-time slot on the channel. And this is going to be a recorded slot, which will be uploaded on a Tuesday with myself. And it's basically, this is the matchup show, and it's going to be the catch-up show. So we're going to look at the previous week on the Tuesday. So all what you've just seen is actually going to go into Tuesday's show. Plus, what we're also going to do is we're going to look through the results and we're going to look at how the fixture difficulty worked out to the result. So when we look at the fixture difficulties going forwards, we're going to see whether the fixture difficulties is really working. So it's a different way of looking at it. It's a nice catch-up, as we say. And of course, Nima's also very well known for his transfer trends. And I think that's a fabulous thing to put in early part of the week, because it really does help us think about the trends which we're going to have to go and as we build up towards what will be the blank game week. And Nima's on next week as well, because he booked that weeks ago, because he also booked a holiday, so they could come on.
Yeah, so, I
would just like to say, Gabe, I don't know if you want to say anything, but I'd just like to say to Nima, welcome aboard. Yeah, I'm really excited about this.
I mean, obviously, two-time champion here. We don't know of what, but he's a two-time champion of something here, Nima.
What is it? He's on the chat. He'll have to tell us. It could be, I don't know whether it's really playing football or whether it's FPL trophies or what.
In fairness, I think the one in his left hand is a shot glass. And the one on the right hand is the trophy for having won the taking shot competition at the bar at the pub. So
he did do the stereo show on Saturday morning my time, and he was blind drunk.
I know. I listened to it. It was amazing. It was so good. But no, I do have to say, I mean, Nima, not just like just a brilliant content creator, but a good friend. And a good friend to anybody that comes across this guy. He's just super warm, friendly, engaging, super helpful. He's stepped up as an editor. He's helping Surya now with the website. So just really happy, really lucky to have him aboard and to have him as a friend.
And that explains one thing. Sorry, Surya.
One more thing that I would like to add. I think I've known Nima for like 3-4 months now, and I've never met people like him. Like, he's so friendly, he's so engaging, and more than a content creator, he's more of a very good friend. So and it's so heartwarming to see him here as well. So he's been helping me with all about FPL as well. He's now a co-editor, and it's great to see him being a permanent member with you both. So
we're delighted, and what it will do is it will allow us to take a bit of pressure off the timings for this show and to concentrate a little bit more on the matchups, because Gabe and I have been commenting now for a while that as much as we enjoy doing these, we also realise that it takes quite a long time to do them. And when we're getting up towards 2 hours, really, it's a bit too long. So that's the idea. So anyway, so everybody knows about it now, and hopefully wait for the video. It will be recorded most of the time because the time differences between Singapore and London. It's very difficult for us both to be awake at the same time or work available at the same time. So most of the times these will be recorded. Occasionally we'll go live, but yes, first one's on Tuesday. So, okay, let's crack on. So let's have a look at the fixture difficulties. So first thing to say is, again, as usual, last 6. So we're going to look at attack. And Manchester City are still the standouts. Chelsea are there as well to a certain extent. Looking at the data and the actual numbers for the last 4 game weeks, we talk about XG per 90 minutes. City are top with 2.19. United second 1.98, Chelsea 1.93. And at the bad end, Palace 0.49, Villa 1.02, and Sheffield United 1.04 XG per 90 minutes. Shots in the box, at Brighton still top 11.33, but we all know they can't finish, as does Swain. Man City at 10.44 and Leeds 10.43 per 90. Newcastle 6th best at 7.83, actually, Gabe, interestingly enough. I know you mentioned about Newcastle, and that's actually above Arsenal.
Yeah.
Who were 7.67. And for shots in the box, bad, bottom Palace 4, Everton 4.38 with Ancelotti's new formation, which has seen droves of people evacuate off DCL, I think. And Sheffield United 5.43. And big chances, City 3 big chances per match, Chelsea 1.93. So I've got that maybe the wrong way around. Maybe 2.93 actually, I think, and West Ham 2.5. And at the bottom again, Palace. We've already said about those. Newcastle 1 big chance. Villa 1.29. Villa are really off the boil at the moment with the attacking stats, and it looks like Grealish is not going to be back for this week either now. So it's now looking like it doesn't sound like he's ready. I think he's ill. I think he's been ill as well, according to the press conferences. So, yeah, that's the attack side. I'll just move to the defence side, and then I'll open it up to you guys. For the defensive wise, Manchester City are not as green as they were. This is noticeable. I think the rotation now is starting to have an effect on Manchester City's defensive stats, and we're seeing that actually starting to come through into the results as well. So if we talk about expected goals conceded, Chelsea are tightest at 0.6 per 90. Brighton and Fulham equal second at 0.86. And City are now behind these at 0.95. They've been toppled. And at the other end of the table, Sheffield United are worse at 2.16, Southampton 1.94, Everton 1.73, and Wolves 1.73. Hello, Mo Salah. We'll keep talking about this as we go. Now, we remember Wolves did concede a number of chances in a very short period of time against City, if you recall. But still, maybe shows what might happen if someone does get a head of steam up against them. Shots in the box, Chelsea only conceding 3.86 per 90. City 4.67, Brighton 4.83, and Fulham 5.75. And at the poor end of the scale, Palace conceding 11.43 per 90. Wolves 9.43 per 90. Again, there we go. Again, the stats are starting to stack up against Wolves, perhaps a little bit here defensively. And Everton 8.88. And big chances, Chelsea, again, very good, 0.57. They have toppled City considerably because City were, I think, if I recall, 2 or 3 times better than everybody else only a few weeks ago, Gabe, if I remember. And now Chelsea are nearly twice as good as City at the moment with respect to the stats. City 1.11, Brighton 1.17, West Ham 1.33. And at the other end, Sheffield United conceding 3.29, Southampton 2.75, and Liverpool now third worst at 2.57. So interesting times, I think, with fixture difficulty. And, I have to say, I'm starting to pay a lot more attention to fixture difficulty going forwards now. I'm actually selecting my teams on the back of fixture difficulties. and it seems to be working because that Luke Shaw, it wasn't great, but it was better than some of the other matchups that I had available.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you think, guys? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it's the right juncture of when form for the big guys is turning. I think Liverpool are off the boil, Spurs are up the hill, and I think it's more important to look into the difficulty right now than ever. So we all just consider Mo Salah as a big asset, but then if the matchup isn't there, I don't see value in holding him. So that's my take. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm only holding him probably because I want to keep the free transfers, and I actually think I was going to give him one more week. But Gabe, Chelsea looking really good now on the right across the board.
Yeah, I wrote about Chelsea several weeks ago when they had, when Tuchel came in and they had kind of an easy run of fixtures, and we started to mention how their defense had really just transformed because of the possession they were keeping, and I think Chelsea's just a good example of how much a manager actually matters, and a manager that understands tactics and a style of play and all of that. When we kind of compare this Chelsea to the Lampard's Chelsea, Lampard's Chelsea feels like a ball of yarn that was unraveled, and now it's tucked nice and neat, and then they're organized, right? But the one thing I'll say about Wolves, I think their defensive numbers are getting a little bit worse, but they've also been, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe we can go back to the attack one. I feel like when I watch them, they've been attacking a little bit more. They've been more adventurous. They've had more opportunities. But I haven't checked the stats on this. This is just kind of eye test stuff. And perhaps that is creating some space, in behind. And the case for Salah is, I also wrote about Wolves. They do concede from kind of like the top left of their box, like that corner, and obviously that's where Salah likes to operate. So there could be a little opportunity there.
Okay.
The one thing, if we go back to the
defense,
do you
want to go to the attack?
Which was the first one? Sorry.
The attack. This one. That's the first.
Yeah,
one.
the attack. I want to, because Liverpool. Look, Liverpool's green. They're an easy fixture for all attack. I think that's really interesting. They're almost as green as, I mean, not quite as green as Southampton, but maybe as green as Wolves.
Yeah. It does. But I mean, look how Fulham played against them. Fulham could have had a couple, couldn't they? Easily.
Yeah.
Really.
And the other one I'll mention is West Ham attack. West Ham attack. XG. They're big on XG, and we'll get into that when we get into a little bit of the matchups.
Yeah, you can see that there as well. So there, although clearly it didn't work for Antonio last week, but anyway, that's me just being bitter now. I tipped him as a differential captain. As I said, this is what the T-shirt says: WTF. That's what I think about that one. Although it does say "Where's the food" underneath it. Right, let's keep going. So Soucek Watch. So, guys, we actually had a result. I was moaning about Soucek Watch last week that we hadn't had a winner for a while, and I was really boring, and I went with Harry Kane, and I actually got it. He scored a header, although I think they tried to disallow it, if I remember. Gabe, you went for Soucek. You went for the wrong one. You should have gone for Dawson.
Should have gone. And I honestly, I considered Dawson, but got to go with I went with the namesake. We haven't talked about him in a while, so throw a little potato salad his way.
Yeah, and I think this is the newest, the curse of Bagan Boy, because Shom selected Rudiger and he didn't play, so it's all Shom's fault.
Shom.
But anyway, so what about this week then? Let's very quickly. I've just highlighted a few for everybody to see, but in 90 averages in 9 over 90, Leeds 3.57 headers, Liverpool 2.71, Newcastle 2.67. On the other side, conceding Palace 4.71, Newcastle 3.67, West Ham conceding headers as well at 2.83. So of interest this week, we've got, I think, the ones that I picked out anyway, Villa Newcastle, Burnley against Everton, Leeds against Chelsea, and it just so happens that it's West Brom's turn to play Palace this week. So look at that. I mean, there's just I've never seen it. You know, it's like I'm trying to think which flag's got a green stripe in it. I need a flag. But no, it's crazy. Crystal Palace are pretty poor. So I've gone for the gentleman you mentioned early on, Gabe. Dejan. Oh, is it Dejan?
Dejan. Yeah.
Yes. So I've gone for him. I think he's going to bully his way to a header against Crystal Palace.
I like it.
What about your choice?
I think I'm going to go with a Villa player, and I'm torn between a lot of things because Villa are just not good right now. But if they're going to do anything, maybe luck into a header or something like that. I was listening to the Zonal Marking podcast, and they were saying Konza is, I think, the defender that has the least tackles in all of Europe in the Big Five leagues. But I don't know. Surya's nodding. Maybe he listens to it as well. You hear that? It's really interesting the way Konza plays, and I just want to maybe give him a nod. So I'm going to go with Konza.
Okay, cool. I like that. I have to say I was looking at him as well, but I didn't go with that. So anyway, you've been left. I mean, normally we come to you last, Surya, but with the captaincy differential, you pick West Brom players. So I presume you're not going to pick a West Brom player this week.
No, I was actually. Why I was smiling when Gabe was talking was I had Konza penciled in a couple of days back itself. But the fact that we wrote him in the 26 differentials. Just because of the fact that he had a double, and his headed attempts was so high. I'm not sure about how high it is amongst the defenders, but it's still openly up there. And then with Villa attack being poor, so they'll definitely look to target the header chances. And I think it's a very big week for Konza to come good. So I think he's been due a header for a long time. So I hope Konza gets one this time. Yeah.
Right. So you've gone with Konza too. I can't even get you to give me anyone else.
The fact that I had Konza pencil, that's why I was smiling. Why did you
always tell me later if we come back to it. Dear me. Anyway, could be Leeds. You never know. I doubt it. Back at Bamford, Gabe, just to troll you if you've got him on the bench.
He's going to come away with something when I bench him again.
Yeah, of course he is. That's what he does. He does that to me as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's the Soucek Watch. So now we're going to go on to the main event of the evening, which is all about blank game week 29. And this week, we're going to cover defense. So we're going to cover some defensive assets. And Gabe's going to do this for us as always. And so, Gabe, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. I'll let you lead into the introduction, and then I'll explain this graph, and then I'll let you loose.
Go for it.
There we go, mate.
There's our Buddhist maxim for the day. This is like fiddling your calendar. This is the saying for the day. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Honestly, the reason I included this, I studied philosophy in university, which is why I've been unemployed most of my life. But I've learned some things along the way.
Seriously? Oh God!
I like to throw things into my articles here sometimes. So I was thinking about this: form is emptiness, emptiness is form, and I use an analogy in the article. But the way I'm using it here is like the form is the substance of something. So if you're looking at form, it would be like the stats in this case. And the emptiness is kind of the ineffable experience of watching the game and the eye test, right? Where sometimes it's hard to describe and it's more kind of like the emotional brain, whereas the form is the more rational brain. And they are both the same thing because everything is one sort of thing. So there's the Buddhism for the day.
Right. Well, the viewers are still on, so we keep going. Keep going.
we still got some people in the chat. Thank goodness. Let's move on.
Paul just said, "What the hell's this crap?" and got rid of you.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason for this is I didn't get to watch many of the games this past weekend, so it's a very stats-heavy matchups article. So I wanted to couch it in like the stats and the eye test are part of the same thing of a bigger picture. So what I've done with the stats is I've taken individual stats, like stats surrounding big chances or XG or chances created from different areas of the pitch, and I've made a mini FDR specifically for that stat. So the big chances conceded versus big chances created, looking at the matchup, is it a good matchup? So here we go.
So you've channeled your inner mariner.
I have, exactly. That's exactly what I've done, man.
So let's have a look at this.
There's a little mariner in all of us, right?
Let's have a look at this inner mariner of yours and see if I can make any sense of it, considering I had to put these slides together this afternoon when you were asleep. Anyway, right, so we'll move across. So the first one, and I hope if you can't see the numbers, it's not necessarily a problem, because I think you just see, you know, the larger the bar means the higher the, you know, either on the left you've got big chances conceded. So on the left is the defense. So if you see for Brighton and Newcastle, the left is the defense. So that's big chances conceded. Against Newcastle, big chances created. So Brighton have conceded 7 big chances, and Newcastle have created 6 big chances. And this therefore means that that bar is green in Gabe's view, because that means that there is a good chance that this matchup would come to fruition. Okay. Now, if we look to Arsenal against West Ham here, West Ham have created 15 big chances. Arsenal have conceded 7 big chances. So again, Arsenal's numbers are pretty good. But because West Ham's numbers are much better, the chances of that 7, this sort of statistic coming out in real terms is lower. So I think hopefully that explains how it is. Gabe, so on this slide, we've got big chances conceded, and then we've got shots in the box conceded. So do you want to just talk through this and then tell me when to swing over to the next 2 slides?
Sure. I think what I'll do is I'll go matchup by matchup, and I'll kind of cover both stats.
Yes.
So we'll start with Brighton against Newcastle.
So do you want me to move to the Brighton till Newcastle stats straight away, or do you want me to? Because I've got the slides further on, you see.
Oh, no. I'll go Brighton, Newcastle for big chances and shots in box, and then we'll move on. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Carry on, mate.
So big chances conceded. The interesting thing is I looked at 5 defenses here, and 3 of them were ranked second best for big chances conceded. So you see 3 of them, Brighton, West Ham, and Arsenal. They've conceded 7 big chances in the last 6 matches, and they all ranked for second. So you can start to see why I've selected them for this analysis as potential defenses to consider for blank game week 29, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of big chances conceded versus big chances, we're looking at Brighton versus Newcastle. You already mentioned over the last 6, they've conceded 7. Newcastle has only created 6. So Newcastle create very few, Brighton concede very few. Good matchup, right? Now I'll go. Actually, I think I'll go across here and just finish the big chances. West Ham versus Arsenal. West Ham also concede very few, but Arsenal creates more big chances than Newcastle, so that matchup turns to yellow. And yellow, I wouldn't say it as like a bad or good. I would characterize yellow as unpredictable. Like it could tend towards the defense, or it could tend towards the offense. It's just kind of more difficult to see. The Arsenal one also only conceded 7 big chances, so you think that, well, they're as good as Brighton or West Ham over the past 6 for that. But look at West Ham's big chances, right? They create a lot of big chances. What we'll see in the next slide, we won't go there yet, but their XG as well. The big chances kind of correlate with the XG, and again, potentially Arsenal defense wins in this matchup. Certainly, if Antonio plays the way he played last game week, maybe he's getting tired, So again, we're not really sure how that's going to go. Tottenham concede more big chances, right? But Villa creates very few without Jack Grealish. Now, we know Jack Grealish will be out for game week 28, but he may be back for game week 29. And we'll get to it later. I think the Tottenham Villa is the most up in the air because it seems like a great matchup for Tottenham. But that's only because Villa hasn't had Grealish. And obviously, they're a completely different team.
I agree. I completely agree with that point, yeah.
And then we move over to Fulham Leeds. Now, Fulham is obviously a favorite, certainly a favorite of yours, Mariner. You've been talking about them for quite some time. You brought Tosin, what's his face in that nobody can pronounce.
I've got his name right now. It's Adara Bio.
Is it Bio or Bioyo?
Yeah, Bio, well, bollocks.
I just messed you up. I'm sorry, I'm trolling you now. So the thing with the Fulham, and they are a great. They have been a really good defense recently, and we'll see kind of where they have a weakness. And so here's one in the big chances conceded. They do concede more big chances than the rest of the teams here, and Leeds create a lot of big chances. So not a good matchup. Moving down for the to the shots in the box. Again, we have another green for Brighton. Two greens in a row here. Newcastle creates or have a, I guess, average shots in the box compared to the other teams here, but Brighton concede very few shots in the box. West Ham concede more. Arsenal can concede about the same as Newcastle, but West Ham concede more shots in the box. So if that turns to yellow, that's kind of an even matchup. We'll see how that one goes. And then the flip side, Arsenal-West Ham is really interesting as well because it's almost the same for shots in the box defensively or offensively. Flipping West Ham and Arsenal looks exactly the same. Yeah. Tottenham Villa, Villa haven't had many shots in the box because Jack Grealish hasn't been around. So who knows? Tottenham concede, not very many shots in the box. So we'll see how that one's really very much up in the air. And then Fulham again with the red. They don't concede very many shots in the box, but Leeds do create a lot of shots in the box. And we'll see where, as we get to further slides, we'll see where those kind of the opportunities, the big chances, and the shots in the box are going to happen for Leeds versus Fulham.
Yeah. So moving on to the next slide. So we've got XG against conceded against XG, and we've got chances conceded from the left versus chances created on the right. So now we're getting a little bit more complex.
Getting into the weeds here a little bit with the matchups. So the interesting thing here is I usually write my articles with this kind of vision, but based on the eye test, right? And that's why I use all the heat maps. So this is like Mariner was like invader of the body snatchers, right? Came into my body, said, I'm writing matchups this week, and went up with all these stats and tables. So I think Mariner and I are having like some kind of mind meld or something. I'll do XG, and then I'll kind of I'll go through the chances conceded from the left quickly so we can pair that with the other two from the middle and the right. Yeah. So XG obviously very important here. Again, another green for Brighton. The Brighton matchup is looking really like among the best ones for game week 29. West Ham Arsenal, back to that yellow. There's a lot of yellow for the West Ham Arsenal. Let's see. So look at Arsenal's XG. It's among the highest in this group, higher than Leeds, which I found really interesting.
Yes.
Right. And then, it's the same thing for West Ham. West Ham XG is very similar to Arsenal, but Arsenal's XG conceded is higher than West Ham. So I think that's a good sign for West Ham attackers, and bad sign for Arsenal defense, right?
And Tierney owners, right?
And how many are there really? Is it you? Me? I do feel alone in the world with Tierney right now after the tragic game week. Moving on here, Tottenham Villa. Again, it's green for Tottenham because Villa's stats over the past 6 they're Grealish-less stats.
Yeah.
Hard to say. I won't say that again. And then moving over to Fulham, XG conceded quite quite low, but Leeds do generate, a significant number of XG there. So now chances conceded from the left. We have our first yellow for Brighton, right? And the reason for the yellow for Brighton, we see they concede very few chances from the left, but look at Newcastle. Newcastle's chances are almost all from the right side. When watching them, what's happening is, first of all, I want to give, wow, it's almost like painful to say. This makes me a little bit sick, but I want to give Joelinton a little bit of props because he actually had. It's hard, I know. I'm gonna throw up my cup. Yeah, there, okay. After getting that vomit out of the way,
I just let my chair down just for a special effect when you mentioned this too.
But Joelinton has been kind of pulling wide on that right hand side, and he's been an outlet, and he's been kind of getting in behind left defenders with his pace and power. So I think they found a use for him, I guess, and it's on that right side. Now they don't have anything else, so they keep going down that right side. So that's why that's a yellow for Brighton. But that said, I don't think it's too bad. Now the West Ham Arsenal is interesting because West Ham concede quite a few chances from the left side, but Arsenal don't really create from the right side. So they're conceding, but there's not much danger there. So that's why they're yellow. Arsenal like to create more from the left side, where obviously Aubameyang is. Now the flip side, it turns green for Arsenal because West Ham do not create much from their right side either. They like to create. Obviously, Cresswell's on the left. He's a big creator of the team, right? Most of the chance creation from West Ham comes from the left side. So I don't expect. So as far as that little matchup goes, that's good for Arsenal. Again, green for Tottenham with no Grealish. And this is the big one for Fulham, right? Fulham is, I believe, second best in the league in chances conceded from the right and from the center. But they concede, I think they're about mid-table for conceding chances from the left. And Leeds create a significant amount of chances from the right because that's where Rafinha plays. So I think, and this is why I don't like Fulham defenders for 29. I think Rafinha is going to tear the Fulham's left side apart a little bit.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
And knowing Bielsa, I think
that's not what I wanted to hear.
And I think Bielsa is going to game plan for that specifically. I think everything's going to go to Rafinha in that game, and they're going to see some. He's going to see some fantasy goodness in. I did
drop. Someone asked me who am I going to captain for 29 earlier, and I said, "Watch what Gabe says. I think I might captain Rafinha."
I think he might be my captain as well. I really like this matchup. And I think he'll be quite a nice differential because of how well Fulham has been playing defensively recently. And people will look at that and look at the FDR on the official FPL and say, good matchup or bad matchup, and won't know that there's that little vulnerability there that we can capitalize on.
Brilliant. Okay, right. So we'll just move on to this last one, which is the central and the right side, and then conceded from the right and chances created on the left. Mm-hmm. So in the middle for a start, at the top.
Yeah, we have chances conceded in the middle. Again, Brighton actually concede quite a few number of chances in that middle, and I think the reason why that happens is the space between the back line and the defensive midfielders, and sometimes the central defenders drop kind of deep. And so chances can be created from that area. Also Miguel Almiron has been playing pretty well recently. I think Ryan Fraser's getting more involved in the team. I think he's carving out a more important role for himself. So there could be something there. But I mean, let's be honest, Newcastle attack is not good. So
that's polite.
Yeah, well,
The only problem is I can't find an emoji to answer somebody who said Captain Joe Linton in 29. I need to go onto YouTube to find that little giant, the turd.
Yeah, the smiling poop.
Yeah, the smiling poo.
Yeah. Now this is, look at the West Ham Arsenal and Arsenal West Ham. I'll do them together because they're both bad matchups for the defense. So imagine this game playing out with a lot of opportunities for Antonio and whoever plays that center forward position for Arsenal. It could be Lacazette. It could be Aubameyang in there. We don't know who it's going to be, but for me in GW29, this is kind of one of the most interesting matchups to watch because they kind of line up perfectly all over the field, and I think there's going to be a lot of action in the middle. I wouldn't be surprised to see Emile Smith-Rowe play in this game over Odegaard because of his bite and his pace and his physicality. We'll see, or they could go. Arteta could go with Odegaard for his creative abilities. So they have their strengths, but it's going to be a battle won kind of in the center of the field on each end of the pitch. Tottenham Villa, Tottenham's green because no Grealish, and then Fulham. Look how few chances Leeds creates in the middle because obviously
your mate, right?
My friend Patrick Shipford.
I can't believe it. We're trying to find sponsors. You can't say that.
All right, Pookford. Patrick Pookford. That has a ring to it, right? Patrick Pookford. But notice how Fulham is so stout. One of the best defenses from in the middle of the field and on the right, and they're vulnerable on the left, and that's why I think Bielsa is going to game plan there. And then the final one, Brighton back to green again. They have several greens, I think 4 greens in this whole thing. So they're the FDR for the specific stats is good in 4 out of 6, which is great. Which means maybe a double up. It depends on how we feel about the fixtures moving forward. West Ham, Arsenal, West Ham, quite similar again. I put Arsenal in red a little bit because West Ham create a little bit more and Arsenal concede roughly about the same from that area of the field. Let's see. Tottenham went a little bit to yellow because Villa do create or have created from their left side targets there. If Grealish returns, he'll be there as well. And then Fulham in orange because of the number of chances Leeds create chances from their flanks, right? Harrison and Rafinha, and they're switching back and forth. So that's the vulnerability there.
Right, just before we get off this section, Gabe, I'm sorry, but we've got a special request. We need you to say Miguel Almiron again, please.
Miguel Almiron.
Oh my God!
Reminds me of something. I've just been watching. What is it? El Chapo.
Oh,
and all the Pablo Escobar stuff. I've been learning how to swear in Spanish. Mind you, I should know that because the wife swears at me all the time in Tagalog. So,
can I call him Patrick Mierda then?
Oh hell yes, that's very good. Yes, I got that one. Right.
That'll be the name from now on.
Right. Anyway, right. We need to move on. We need to move on into the next part of this. So now what we're going to do is you're going to look a little bit more detailed. So you're now taking the graphs and you're now going to put the heat maps on just for very quickly run through these. So you can see why we need to split this show up because clearly this is detailed. So we need to spend time on this sort of stuff. So, right, okay, Brighton, Newcastle. Away you go again, Miguel.
So here we go, Brighton, Newcastle. We look the heat map where Brighton concedes chances, kind of that top of the box, right? And a little bit top of the box and a little bit on the right side there. And we have the middle here. So I guess that's why it's orange, right? We see like top of the box in the middle area. And even the what is that? XG shots conceded. Sorry, it's hard to see it there. We can see the XG is not very high for those shots. Brighton conceded that's quite a number of shots that are conceded there over the last 6, but the XG is quite low, and that's why overall we kind of like Brighton in this matchup, despite the fact that they do concede a significant number of chances through the middle there. They aren't very good chances that they concede there.
Okay, so move on.
Move on.
There we go. So who's the man? Who's the man?
There it is. Little Prince. I like Veltman. We're not moving to the Little Prince.
This is Veltman. This isn't your Little Prince. This you're on about Veltman. You want to talk about Veltman? You told me
that's what I'm saying. Little Prince. I just Veltman. He's I actually wanted to bring him in on my wild card, but with they hadn't received news of Lamptey yet. Now that Lamptey's out for the rest of the season, Veltman with that Ajax DNA in him, he loves to get in and around the box, and he can whip across in there like no other. It's a shame that that Brighton can't finish to save their lives, but I think Veltman could not only create something for others, but I think Veltman has a goal in him as well. And it's among the best matchups, I think, in game week 29. So a little bit of upside with attacking, some good upside with in the defense for 29. Yeah, I like Feldman.
Yeah, interesting, because if you remember when old Glassback broke to pieces again for one of many periods at the start of when we started doing this, my old friend Mr. Lamptey, when Veltman came in, I think I remember you saying, Gabe, something along the lines of, right, that's it, that's the matchup, everyone target Veltman.
Well, true to target Veltman on the defensive side, right? But as a team, I think Brighton have improved defensively. Now, the reason I was saying to target Veltman is because he has that Ajax DNA and he's going to push forward. He's not a quick defender, which is strange for a wingback. You think of a wingback as a Lamptey type, but Veltman he's a big guy, but he does move up and down the pitch quite well. But yeah, we were saying target Veltman because Brighton were underperforming their expected goals conceded, well, kind of all their defensive stats, and we knew Veltman was going to try to kind of push forward, so it was a pocket to get in behind, but now, since their defense has solidified and he still has that attacking threat, I think, things have changed with this guy, with the Dutchman here.
Look, I feel sorry for poor old. We've got Swang on. He's now saying Veltman's handsome, so clearly he's now completely got some. Is clearly delusional about everything to do with Brighton because he's just he's had his own dunk through all that trouble, and now he's so depressed about them. So he's trying to find a way to cheer himself up. But look, sorry, cheer him up. Brighton, have they been unlucky in the last few weeks? My feeling is perhaps they have. Defensively wise, defensively.
Yes, attacking is a lost cause that I don't want to mention. But yeah, numbers have always been that. The thing with Brighton is that there has always been XG, there has always been big chances created. When you look at from a stats perspective, everything looks good, but then it just don't work that way, right? And Brighton are a classic example of that. But having said that, there's been some improvement defensively over the last couple of weeks, and I do feel there is substance to it. So Westman could be a very, very good option. I was digging up some numbers for the Differential blog as well. We did put him up as well, and so I think he could be a very, very good pick this week.
Yeah, well, I've got some numbers on a few of these options at the end, because I then come in with my numbers at the end just to try and see whether what Gabe actually unearthed actually is the same as what I come up with. I think Veltman does get a mention. So yes, that's great. So Brighton, don't give up just yet, Swang. I think that's the moral of the story there. Yeah. So all right, let's move on to West Ham against Arsenal, Gabe.
This is the matchup of kind of the middle, big chances, high XG, right in the middle of the field. like we were talking about. And I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I own Tierney obviously, but I see goals in this matchup. Just
Yeah.
both teams playing reasonably well. They both have a decent defense and a decent attack, and the vulnerability for both is kind of in the same area of the field. What they do well is in the same area of the field. So this is a fascinating tactical battle for each. And I wonder if Arteta is going to change things around to kind of, maybe like put Aubameyang in the middle. I think if it were me, I would probably do something like that. It could, or I mean, it depends what he needs, right? I don't think he needs like physicality in there, right? Because you have you're up against Dawson and those center backs. But if you can get somebody to kind of sneak into the pockets of space, I think that's how Arsenal could score on West Ham. And then West Ham, the opposite. I think Antonio is a perfect fit for this matchup. I think he could draw a penalty from one of those center backs. He could, I mean, who knows? He could receive a pass from Xhaka, for example, and Xhaka could get a nice own assist. We should have own assists. There are own goals and own assists, and what Xhaka did this past week was an own assist, I would say.
I've just put the heat maps up for you, Gabe. You've got the West Ham last 6 conceded and XG of shots conceded last 6 as well.
Right. So and we see here in the chances conceded heat map that there's right by the box, West Ham's box. That's Alba territory if Alba does play on the left. So that could be a concern and something Arteta might target. So if he plays Alba on the left and maybe Lacazette or someone else in the middle, that could be a way Alba gets through. But look at West Ham, their XG shots conceded. Though I mean, there's a lot of shots, but those dots are tiny. Even the ones inside the 6-yard box are small. They're not big chances. So Arsenal are going to have to be quite clinical, I think, to take advantage of any of that vulnerability that West Ham concede a lot of shots.
It could be a good game though. I've got a feeling it could be a really, really good game.
I think it will be a cracker. I really do.
Thunder derby, couldn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think it'll be a real derby. It won't, I think that this could be really, really a very entertaining match.
Yeah, and this is just the other way around, Gabe. This is Arsenal's conceded and XG as well, so chances and XG there. And you mentioned Antonio here, didn't you?
Yeah, well, Antonio, if we're looking at the XG shots, they're the higher XG and they're more concentrated, and that's the Antonio area. And the XG shots on the right. Now, in the chances created heat map on the left, we're look at the corner, right? Those 4 dark dots in the corner, Cresswell territory, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
Something good from Cresswell, and then the kind of pocket of green right at the top of the box. That's Messi Lingard right there. That's Messi Lingard territory, creating for Antonio that should be in and around the 6. So I like Cresswell, I like Lingard, and I like Antonio for West Ham's attack. And Lingard, the reason they Arsenal concede in that area, well, that they have Xhaka and at the defensive mid, and I'm gonna troll Xhaka for the rest of the season. I think that's gonna.
I think he deserves it, quite frankly. After what happened, I agree. If I was in your shoes, I would be extremely salty. I actually burst out laughing, and I saw the game, and I burst out laughing. Said to the wife, "Look at this." And she said, "What on earth's gone on here?" And I said, "You never guess. Gabe's got him in here."
I actually
I was like, and then there was the chance went in, and then I was, oh my god, that's it. I better message him now just to wind him up. But, so that's that one. So that's Arsenal West Ham. So you've got Tierney, but you're not convinced about Arsenal defence as well. Just to summarise,
I'm not convinced about the defence, but if you look at the areas of the chances in the previous one, I think Tierney could potentially create something.
Yeah,
but that's a shot in the dark a little bit. You never know. So I'm not super confident about Tierney for a clean sheet against West Ham.
You're falling over yourself about if you didn't have an Arsenal defender, you wouldn't be falling over yourself to bring one in at this moment in time, Gabe. Is that how I would describe this?
Yeah, that's correct. I would not bring in an Arsenal defender.
You would hold them because they've got long-term fixtures.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't necessarily bring one in.
Yes, correct.
Right, fair play. Okay, good. Right, so Spurs then against Villa.
Spurs Villa. Here we have the chances conceded from Spurs. Notice it's kind of like at the perimeter. I would look at the kind of the bright green area on Spurs' right side. There are kind of like 3 bright green spots on the right side of the box. Other side, right.
That's all right. It's late, mate. I mean,
so this is going to be Villa's left side. Again, if Jack Grealish is playing, I think that's interesting. If he's not playing, I think that green basically disappears, and you're left to kind of speculative chances. But here are the speculative chances moving over to the XG shots conceded. Spurs concede quite a lot inside the 6. And you see those big circles in there for high XG chances inside the 6. I think that's what Villa can kind of hang their hat on. Just dump a ball in there, and maybe Ollie gets a toe to it, comes off the post, and somebody else scores because Watkins is not going to score. So that could happen. Again, there's not much I can say about Spurs Villa without knowing the Jack Grealish situation.
No,
right?
I mean, look, if you were drawn to a Spurs defender, who would it be?
I mean, there's only one defender for me that it could be. We got Spurs fan in the chat, Jamie Baker here, calling a 5-0. I don't know about that, Jamie.
Put the player up you told me. That's the guy, right? What's his name again?
Reguilon.
Oh, there we go again, people. Listen to
Reguilon.
It's amazing. I love it. Oh, I love it. We're going to have to find all these funny names now. We're going to have to get what we need now is everybody every week to find all the Hispanic names and get them all in the chat. And we'll actually just get you saying all these names. Lindsay's absolutely loving it. All these ladies. We'll have a big following of ladies soon.
We might have to add a third show in a week for just the names.
Yeah, just the Gabe spelling out names. Yeah, that would be fun.
I mean, the problem with just trying to get back on track, because what's happening, generally speaking, is we're slowly getting worse and worse. As usually happens on this show. The problem we've got with him is, I mean, is he nailed? I was going to bring him in, and then he didn't play. But is he? I don't think I'm going to go for triple. I think if I was going to triple up on Spurs, I'd probably go with Bale anyway. I already own Son and Kane. So I don't think that's really much of a question now. But, can anyone work out what's going on in that defence? I mean, Jamie's on. Maybe he knows. Maybe he can tell us. But what's your view, Surya?
Yeah, I think he's a good asset, but the problem is that they still have Europa League, and we all know Mourinho prioritizes the Europa League more than Premier League as things stand, and he's not someone who seems to be nailed, and for that amount of a price, I don't. That's the reason. Lawrence is the only one I would trust from the Spurs defense, but then you can't get Lawrence right now because there's a lot of other good keepers right there. So Reguilon is a big no for me, just by the fact that he might be benched anytime, and that wouldn't be any indication as well to it. So I'm not entirely sold by the fact that he's a nailed starter. But whenever he plays, he's really good. He hit the bar as well. If I'm not wrong, he hit the bar against Crystal Palace, and he did put out a few good crosses as well. But the failure of a nailed spot is definitely a turn off. Yeah.
I think I mean, he was on my watch list. I've took him off.
Yeah.
That's the way I was nearly. I seriously considered bringing him in, but in the end, I thought no, and it maybe I won't go for 3 Spurs. It maybe I'm going to go for 2 plus the 2 plus Auber. I think for the long term because I don't hold a wild card.
I completely agree. By the way, on Reguilon there, but I would say I think Bale is in a little bit of a similar situation right now. Everyone's high on Bale because he's played a couple straight. But Surya mentioned earlier, Bale is a streaky player. The streak, I watch Madrid all the time, and the streaks end out of nowhere. You have no idea. All of a sudden, Bale is on some satellite on an island playing by himself, and the rest of the team is like, "What's going on?" And then he breaks. So
he does play golf, doesn't it? Sounds like my golf game.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised.
It sounds like my experience of playing golf. 1 minute I'm all right, the next minute I may as well have been on a different planet.
Well, Bale has probably played more golf than football in the past 5 years, so.
He probably has, yeah, exactly. Gabe, just to finish us on this section, Fulham Leeds.
Fulham Leeds. So we have Fulham here. Look at that Fulham's left side, which would be Leeds' right side. That's where they concede from. It's the only kind of the only orange in the chances created and the chances conceded heat map is on Fulham's left side. That's Rafinha all day, like all up that wing. So that's what we were talking about earlier. And then we kind of compare with the XG shots, the XG map there, and we see it's kind of similarly to Spurs that Fulham will allow kind of the ball to get into the 6-yard box from that right side, or from their left side, the opposition's right side. So I can see Rafinha potentially scoring from that side, but certainly creating chances for anybody running into the small box there. And I mean, and I include that just the way Leeds plays, that could be like the left back. It could be Alioski or something like that running into that far post, or Harrison running onto that far post as well.
Interesting. And just this is the big chances conceded versus big chances, and chances conceded from the left and created on the right. So Fulham defense wise, you're not at all comfortable.
Not at all comfortable. I think Bielsa is going to see this. I think he's going to attack that side specifically. And I don't think there'll be much action coming from the other side. If we watch that game, I think the ball will get funneled up Leeds' right side, and I don't think Rafinha will move around too much unless he moves into the middle occasionally to receive some of the balls from the right side. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see somebody like Dallas at right back, or somebody that can attack from that area as well. That would free, if they can get up the field, that would free Rafinha to move, to kind of float inside as well and give him some goal opportunities.
Personally, I'm absolutely delighted Dallas has gone back, because I sold him, and immediately I sold him, he went back into back foot.
Yeah.
So it was perfect for me. So it's working out very nicely. So stick to what you're doing, Mr. Bielsa, please. Love Mariner. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do, that's the sections. What we're going to do now is I'm going to very quickly, a bit mindful of time, but I think we've still got another 5 or 10 minutes. We can just generally just chat around this, whiz through the captaincy stuff, because we've done all the other stuff this week anyway, and then take a couple of questions. But the fixture difficulties for non-blankers, and again, I just think it's worth just putting this up now. So, these are my notes. So, we've got Arsenal's fixtures. They're not great with respect to matchups, but they are long-term moves. Yeah. So without a wild card, Arsenal are certainly worth consideration. With a wild card, you probably want to hold back, is my perspective. Surya?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree on that. Yes.
Yeah. Because they've got with 31, 32, 34, and 35, they've got Sheffield United, Fulham, Newcastle, West Brom.
Yeah.
That's the time, right? So, but saying that, I may well invest in Auburn earlier, but they've got Everton in 33 as well. So that's another important consideration. Villa, I've got defence over attack. Look at Villa's attacking form. that basically tells me that their form is significantly worse than what it has been averaging over the season for attack. That should say it all. That will probably change when Grealish comes back, but at the moment, it's not looking good. They do have a good fixture in 33 against West Brom, and they have a very good fixture in 36 against Palace. But do you know what? I'm not totally made on them. And I'll say one other thing as well. If I was wildcarding, I'm not sure if I would have Martinez. And that's another point I'm thinking of now. I would go for Mendy at this moment in time if I had my wildcard in my pocket. What do you think, Gabe?
That conversation was actually brought up in the chat as well. I was reading it. They asked, I had Mendy, and I think he's a good pick. But I think you're playing with fire a little bit. Mendy will not get you bonus points, and he won't get you save points. So the best you can hope for is 6.
6,
right?
Yeah. So,
no, I quite like
Martinez can clean against anybody.
Sorry, Gabe.
I was just going to say, and then compared to Martinez can clean against anybody. And the more shots he receives, the more save points, bonus points he can get. Even if he does concede, we've seen Martinez several times this season get bonus points when conceding. So I look at Martinez and I think he's fixture proof. I think he's form proof as well, like from a Villa point of view. And I just think he's a set and forget. And when you average the points out from now to the rest of the season, there will be several 2s. There might be a 1 in there, but there will be some double-digit hauls as well. And I think he will score more than Mendy for the rest of the season. Now, whether he's worth the extra money, I think that's a personal decision.
Yeah, I'll be holding him anyway. I can't. I've still got a wild card. I'll just keep moving through. Brighton have a wall of green. Newcastle without Wilson, St. Maximan for at least another couple of weeks. They could probably got as good a chance as anybody of having a clean sheet in 29. Tell that to swing. But anyway, they've also got Sheffield United in 33. So I think cheap Brighton asset, play them 29, play them 33, sling them on the bench and rot them.
Yeah.
That's my perspective. Fulham, I think they'll give Leeds a good game, but they do blank in 33. So don't necessarily bring in, is my perspective there. Maybe the what's his name? Maja. Yeah, he might be the one because he's cheap, right? And he's playing and he's cheap. And I think if you need an enabler, he's probably your man. I thought Lookman looked quite good as well, to be honest, for 5 million. Leeds, not great matchups, as we've said, but realistically, I think you cannot ignore them against Fulham, as Gabe said, particularly Rafinha, and you can't ignore them even more against Sheffield United because that's a really green matchup. Like a very nice matchup. So even though I'm not sure I would treble up on Leeds because I'm ultimately going to move them out, I think a double up is more than is probably about optional for me, optimal, I should say, for me, because that at least means I've got a couple against Sheffield United the week after. So that's roughly where I'm going. So I wouldn't be moving any Leeds players out now. I just don't know whether I'd bring that third one in. That's because they play Man United in 33.
Yeah. Well, so, a lot of those teams that play in 29, their fixtures change after 30, right? And
there's not many. They're exactly right. But you do need these players, particularly if you've not got your wild card or your free hit left. Exactly. You need to be able to get through those options, right? Newcastle, forget it. Sorry, Newcastle fans, stay away. You could always try the Spurs Trident, as I'm calling it now. Water analogy. I'm talking about sea and things, so we might as well talk about tridents, right? But yeah, they've got Newcastle in 30, Sheffield United in 34, Leeds in 35. Captainable fixtures there, but they do blank in 33. They've got double, haven't they, somewhere as well, which might be 32. So that's the only thing. It's the only thing which makes me think about treble is the fact that they've got that fixture in that. If they drop that double in 32, it could be useful. And then West Ham, my notes here, Gabe, and I don't know whether you agree with me. They play in 29. The short term's tough, but they improve. So I think, again, if you're going to go for a West Ham defender, if you're going to go for a Cresswell of this world, probably for his attacking returns in 29, 20, bring him in, 28 or 29, whenever you want to bring him in, then I think he's a hold. He's expensive, but he's a hold. But let's face it, we're moving away from Manchester City defenders. We're going to have some cash.
Yeah.
So that's roughly where I would come on that. We're going to talk a bit more about this sort of stuff, I think, tomorrow on the Stereo show, Gabe. I like to go through this. It's a nice way of running it. And I want to just put the stats up as well. And again, we'll whiz through this. Just look for the red boxes. Look, first of all, the red numbers at the top. Arsenal are the only ones with negative fixture difficulties out of those defenders which we've got up there. So for Spurs, Villa, Leeds, Fulham, West Ham, and Brighton, they've all got positive defensive matchups apart from Arsenal. So that again matches up with what you've said. Looking through the various columns there, fixture difficulty between 28 and 30. For matchups, Brighton top it. Okay, in 29, Brighton top it. A good matchup, 2.4. Form, so start of the season to now, Fulham top it significantly. So Fulham are the best defensive form from where they were to where they are. Clean sheets, Brighton have the most likely to have a clean sheet, followed by Fulham at the moment. This is all from the last 6 game weeks, guys, by the way. Bonus points per 90, Cresswell, 1.5 average. Probably, obviously, with these attacks. So he stands out for bonus points, and that's an important consideration as well. XG, Veltman, well, just try to quit that. What's that? 3 and a bit times more than the next option for XG. Right? XA, Cresswell, but Veltman as second there, but behind. And XI, so adding XG and XA together, Veltman, followed by Cresswell. Okay. And then we talk about under and overperforming. So in other words, if you're underperforming, you are either unlucky or not very good. And if you're overperforming, you're lucky or you're very good. And if you look at this, Veltman is underperforming. He's due, Gabe, as well.
Yep.
He's due. He's significantly due, as is Dunk. And on the other side of it, Cresswell is overperforming, but that's probably from his set piece. The fact maybe it's something to do with the set piece chances and things. I don't know how much XG you get, XA you get from a corner, for example, and there's corners being headed in. Do you know what I mean? So that's roughly where we are. So I actually think that what you've said pretty much matches up with what I've said.
100%. Yeah. It looks like, and we go back to that, the first concept. Here's the form, and it's matching up with the emptiness. So form is emptiness.
Right. And that's that. Right. Let's whiz through the other bits, and then we need to take some questions. So very quickly, Gabe, your little prince is?
Little Prince. My buddy Kai. Yep.
Yes, it is. Is he going to disappear? I thought, hopefully. Damn it.
There it is.
Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz.
Now, do tell me, though, because I know he got an assist, but that ball was going wide.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
But it's more about and we mentioned the Little Prince. The Little Prince it's not really even gut feel. It's just the feeling you get when you see a player that's where things have clicked and things are, I think, just about to kind of come together for this guy. Kai Havertz, I started watching him last season when I got into Bundesliga, and he was filling in as a false 9 for Haller, who was out injured, and he did that for several months. And his ability to penetrate through lines with his just striding kind of, when he gets in space and he has these striding dribbles, he glides through lines, and I like that, and that takes a certain amount of confidence and awareness, and that Kai has not shown, probably because he's Frank Lampard has like scrambled his brain for the first half of the season, and now I think he's starting to see the field. Cobra Kai. Himbo says he's a troll. You know, it's hard to argue against that, right? He has not been good. We had such high hopes for him.
I think the gallery's split on your decision, Gabe.
Perfect. That's it is, you know, it's a decision that comes from the emotional brain. So some will feel very much against it and some will feel very much for it. So if it's a split decision, it tells me that I'm on the right track with the low price.
It's not for me personally, but fair play. I know Sibber FPL Banger's really keen on him and may well captain him this week by what he's told me.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, right. So let's keep going. We need to quickly whiz through the captaincy side of things. So first of all, as usual, let's look how we did. And we did all right. Poll picked Gundogan. Metric picked Gundogan. Catpick, well, he tore it up, didn't he? Literally. He tears everything up in this house, but he certainly tore it up this week with Harry Kane. And the differential was absolute dog doo-doo. Very poor. Very disappointed in Antonio. I brought him in as well. That was one of my biggest disappointments of the week, actually. But anyway, there we go. The metrics, how are we doing? Well, the metrics now at 78% hit rate. It's quite incredible. It's now projected to 608 points, average of 16 points a game. I am now at 67%. Projected 563, which is a massive improvement for me compared to last year. And I'm on a 4. I shouldn't have said this. I'm on a 4 streak now, that's bound to go wrong now. And we'll move on because we need to move on to the picks, the cat picks, the cat pick, the polls we put out. I was really struggling with the polls, to be honest, this week. In the end, I just threw it out. I think you were asleep, Gabe, and I just thought, right, I better just put something out there and see what comes in. But Kane clearly looks to be the standout. And probably hardly surprising given the fact I think we've got some real worry about rotation with City and a lot of pretty average sort of fixtures kicking around as well. But we'll come on to that in a minute. So anyway, we gave the cat the choice of Kane, Bruno, or KDB. So let's have a look, see which one he went with. It's a bit slower this week. Oh, no. Sorry about this. The wife does this. What?
Oh, so cute.
Do you know what now? Do you know what's happened? We put the pieces of paper down and he bolts across because he knows he's going to get food. It's very crazy, really. Anyway, Bruno, I don't even think you needed to ask that, did you? I think everybody knew it was going to be Bruno, didn't they?
Yeah.
Typical. Right, metric time. So who is top of the metric? And it is Kevin De Bruyne. He has toppled Gundogan. So there you go. Now, this is interesting because the only time Kevin De Bruyne has topped the metric this year was in game week 13 against West Brom, and he blanked. Because I captained him. I remember it well. Because I was looking to captain De Bruyne, and he blanked. But it's a really open week. The fixtures for City, quite frankly, again, you could have a number of City players on. Defenders are falling off now. Sterling's falling off. Gundogan's dropping a little bit. But looks like De Bruyne and Mahrez now are looking like the two better options with respect to City, rotation aside. Right. Now, I've had a few questions about the metric. It will take into account to a certain extent, because there'll be no one up there if they rotate more than 30% in the last 6 games. And also, the returns and things obviously will be adjusted because the expected points will be lower if they haven't been playing in recent weeks. So it should work itself out relatively well. So, yeah, De Bruyne's top, followed by Gundogan, followed by Mahrez. Sterling's there. If we then start talking about the best of the rest, well, I don't know that I'd consider Vardy the best of the rest, given the fact it works over 12 weeks. And if you look at the back end of the period, his numbers are going down all the time. Mm-hmm. So I think, again, we've said about how this metric works. Sometimes we agree with it, sometimes we don't. Salah is the next one. Now, this is interesting because I've been looking at this and I am very, very tempted to captain Salah. And I'll tell you why. Because he's actually the highest player on the metric that I own apart from Gundogan. And I cannot trust Gundogan to play.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I think I'm going to, the roulette wheel's in full swing, isn't it? Is Salah going to give a golden goodbye to me and punish all you lot who've sold him against Wolves? Because Bruno and Kane, their matchups they're okay. Mm-hmm. They're not great. And the Wolves matchup the defensive matchup against Wolves is better than both of those matchups. So again, if I'm using my numbers, it points me again at Salah. And then we talk about Wolves in the last 6. 4th worst for expected goals conceded and big chances conceded. 2nd worst for shots in the box. I think I'm on Salah, boys. Do I need to go and have a lie down and get a cold towel or something? What do you think, Gabe?
I'm surprised. We were chatting about Salah the other a couple of days ago in our chat, and then I mentioned him several days ago. Kind of perspective on Salah was you have to be crazy.
The more you look at it, and the more you think about it, and then when you start to analyze it, as you say, as you dive into something, you start thinking about things.
Yeah.
You look at it and you go, do you know what? This isn't so stupid. I also own Kane. I also own Kane. It could be famous last week. It could be an absolute balls up. You wait till me and Nima are on Tuesday. I think we're both captaining him. And I own Kane and Son, so I'm hoping that gives me a little bit of protection, perhaps, against a Kane or a Son. If Kane or Son do go off and get some points. I also own Bruno, so I don't see why not. Surya, who are you going to captain this week, and what would you like to say about the metric? Anything interesting?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I had Kane and Fernandes in my mind, and it was so down on the metric. And looking up, the only in the top 5 is that I own is Gundogan, and I'm just like you said, I'm not sure at all. 1%, very confident about captaining him, just having in my team with 2. So Salah is certainly tempting, but I do want to do Salah to Bale. So it's a lot of things on my head right now. But then,
I think I put the WhatsApp group into meltdown a little bit earlier when I posted my FF Titans commentary, which I've just pretty much read out to you in the comments as for the captain's pick. I think I'm the only one out of that group as well at the moment. I haven't checked, but I think I'm still the only one who's gone for Salah. So
I'm on Salah.
You're on Salah as well. Wow. Okay.
He's been my bus captain all week. I have not moved.
Well, we can't complain about that then.
That's not true, actually. I did have it on Martinez for a couple of days, and I switched to Salah. And there's actually a question about Martinez. Maybe we'll get to later.
Yeah, I can't wait till you captain Almiron.
Miguel Almiron. Oh, someone asked me to say Kepa's name. Arrizabalaga.
Go on then.
Oh God.
Arrizabalaga. And that's with the Spanish accent, not like my Venezuelan one. You got to get the lisp in there.
Love it, love it, love it. Right, Captain Differential, and let's get these questions and get out of here. So, Captain Differential this week is Mason Mount.
Mason Mount.
I think a Chelsea player is not a bad shout. I probably would go for Mount over Havertz. That's just me. His XG and XA last 6 games has been 0.3 and 0.31 and 0.3 respectively. That's 0.61 XI. Shots in the box 1.29 in 90. Big chances 0.43. Big chances created 0.43. He's got a positive matchup against Leeds of 1.7. He averages 4.4 corners a match, of which 3.1 go into the box. Again, I think I'm quite. I don't think I asked this. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. Isn't he on penalties if Jorginho's not on the pitch? I think he took one, didn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I quite like him. I quite like that. Any others you would think of, guys? Or what do you think to my pick?
What are your thoughts here, Syria?
I think I would tell a name and then it won't go right, and then you guys come back to it.
Go on, throw it in, because you got it completely wrong last time because you went for Pereira from West Brom, and I've never let you live it down since. So,
yeah, I think I'd stick it out and say Gareth Bale, because he loves to score in a big game, and NLD couldn't be a bigger game. It couldn't get better than that. So I am sticking my differential captain on Bale. So let's see how this time goes. So, but Mount is a very good shout out, because he will definitely start having been benched last game. So I think Mount's a very good. I saw a lot of people discussing Havertz has a higher ceiling than Mount, but I do not agree with that fact, because Mount is fairly on set pieces, and with Jorginho off the pitch, he's on penalties as well. So it's a good shout out on that. Yeah. But then I would go Bale. Yeah.
Now, boys, I've got a bit of a problem with the chat, because I can only get back. This has happened a couple of times on this stream, but I can only get back to 11:59. So, have you got some questions? Can you see some questions from earlier than that period in the YouTube chat, Gabe?
I will scroll up and look right now.
So let's see if we've got any questions. So that's the section. Yeah. So once we finish off, so that's what we've got. So that's the summaries. So we've got Kane. Community, KDB Metric, Catpick Bruno, and Differential Mason Mount. So there we go. So let's go for the Q&As, and hopefully we've got a few, because I don't know if at the moment, to be quite honest, I'm a bit annoyed again with this thing, because it doesn't go all the way back, unfortunately. I don't know why. Maybe just so many comments.
I'm just scrolling here, looking for a question. Well, we can start with the question on Martinez captain. What are your thoughts, guys, on captaining Emi Martinez this game week?
It's an interesting one. My view is that I think it's too low a bar for me. I think you're talking a maximum of 10 points, aren't you? Unless he gets a penalty save. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just a bit boring for me.
That's no fun. That's no fun.
No. And you'd have to watch it from behind the sofa.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, they are playing right now. It's going to be a very hard watch. Yeah. I don't have the heart for that.
I think he's a reasonable and a logical captain choice this week. I think he makes a lot of sense, but it would force you to watch the games rooting against football, and that's just no way to live your life, I think, to be perfectly simple. So I think that you don't want to watch a game when I watch games, I want to cheer for goals and be hopeful. I don't want to cheer for the game to not really play out, for it to be a stalemate in the middle and for nothing to happen. And then if one thing goes wrong, like for example, a defender passes to the attacker, gives it to him in his chest, so you can just tap it in. For example, something random that just came to me.
You're really salty about that.
Ruined.
You're really salty about that one.
I'm really salty about that. I turned it off at that moment, and that was the beginning of the game. But then your game week is ruined, right? And you have kind of nothing else to look forward to. There's no hope for FPL that weekend, so it's a logical choice that is also a little bit masochistic, I would find. As FPL Escapades is asking, is Cresswell still a good option?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I'm seriously considering bringing him in, and as particularly given the fact that I want to go to the run-in with him really now, because I think their fixtures, I think if I recall, I've not got them in front of me now, but I think their fixtures are pretty good from 34 onwards from memory. So yeah, fixtures aren't necessarily that great now, but it could always get an attacking return, because we've always said about players like Antonio is a bit fixture-proof. And if Cresswell's dropping the ball in for him, then I like him. It's expensive though now. It's a shame we didn't get him on him earlier. But if you've got your money, you may as well spend it. That's what my wife says.
maybe an idea.
I hope she's asleep.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. But then he's a very good Cancelo replacement. So I thought of replacing Cancelo with Cresswell, and Cancelo is someone who's around the same price, 5.8, 5.9, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, the thing is that he always gets one clean sheet or an attacking return, or continuously. So there's consistency in terms of his returns. It's always been 7, 8, 9, 5, all of those range. Something that you should be satisfied if I'm putting it out right. So he's fairly fixture proof, as you said. If Antonio's fixture proof, the one who's feeding him the ball is also fixture proof. So
yeah, I think that's a good way of putting. Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. So yes, I think it's a case of buy him. Yes, buy.
We also have another question from, I believe it's Hibbo. We had two Seans in the chat, so this is one of them. He says, on the other side of this fixture, so on the other side of 29, I think he's referencing here, or either 29 or 30. Which Villa defender would you pick?
I mean, you saw the matchup. You saw the figures for target. There were nothing special for me. I thought his numbers would be better.
They were better when Grealish was in the side, because he pushes that defender. He holds that defender, and Target has more space to send those diagonals.
So maybe Target is still an option then when Grealish comes back. So if we're not making that move till that time, then perhaps Target's a decent option. Of course, they do have double game weeks. I quite like a slightly cheaper Conser as well, though. That's another option. But I think, I don't know. I already own Martinez. I don't know that I would double up on them.
Would you look at any Villa defenders after game week 30, Surya?
I'm not entirely convinced that.
Yeah. I think Konza at 4.6 would be interesting, and you can follow Soucek Watch and play him in certain matchups. But there are so many kind of rising good defenders, right?
Yes.
And I will put Tierney in that category. I think Alonso could be in that category. People may be thinking of going Cancelo to Alonso, for example. Shaw is still creating tons of chances. We spoke about Cresswell.
And you've got Chelsea fixture turning 31 as well. So we obviously don't know whether Rudiger was just rested. If Rudiger comes back in and then looks like he's playing, and of course we'll know that for the next couple of weeks before we're perhaps thinking of bringing him in. Quite frankly, if Rudiger plays the next two games, it's a complete no-brainer.
Yeah, so I think the opportunity cost of getting a Villa defender is preventative, I think, and it makes you not want to get a Villa defender. So I would say no.
Yeah.
But if I did bring that in, it would be Konza.
Yeah, I'm more likely now to take money out of my defence, because I've been running with quite an expensive bench because of obviously bench boost and that sort of Damocles which was hanging over me for bloody weeks, trying to play that bench boost. Now I've got rid of it now. So now I can start thinking of taking money out. So that's where Veltman comes in. That's where Rudiger comes in. All these players now become rather interesting for me.
Right. We have a question here from Nehal. What do you think of DCL chances against Burnley?
He's playing out on that right, isn't he?
He's dropped in midfield. He's linking play more. But how is Ancelotti going to set up? Is he going to go back to the diamond? Is he going to go to the 4-2-3-1? I don't know. It's a big. If you're not going to bring DCL in, right? Like I still own him, for example. I'm not going to sell him before Burnley. I was hoping they would have Villa as well this game week. It's kind of the main reason I brought him and Dean in, but he won't be staying in my team for very long, precisely because of the position change.
And I've just checked. The headed matchup is awful.
Yeah,
really bad. So I can't. I'd be very surprised if he got a header. And it's minus 0.6 with respect to attack against Burnley. So I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah.
Not great. No, not great. I've sold him. I took the gamble that they wouldn't get that double in 28. Looks now that they won't. No, I very much doubt they will now. So, it looks like the right move. But no, I'm not. I'm a bit disappointed with them, actually. I agree with what you mentioned about Dean. He's done okay, but I don't know how long he'll be in my side as well.
Yeah. We have another question here from Sharvind. What do you guys think of Salah, Liverpool versus low blocks in general? Surya, you want to give us your thoughts here?
I was just convinced of captaining him, and then this question.
Yeah, I can't listen to this answer, right?
There's so much of confusion on this case. I think, but he's slightly improving. But my heart is set with Bale, so I'm not the right one to answer this. So,
yeah. I mean, look, they again. I think the interesting, and again, I'm not always the best person to talk about Liverpool because obviously I'm not a Liverpool fan for a start. But Jota coming back in to the eye has made a difference. Immediate difference. And I owned Jota early part of the season and did very well out of him. In fact, I owned them both for a period of time. I did really well out of them. It's one of my first rank when I started to really climb. I had them both. I mean, it's the engine room in midfield which is the problem for me. So I think if Klopp sorts that out, he played Fabinho, didn't he, in midfield in the week? He played him in the middle of midfield, I think, from memory. So, if they're doing that, I still think that they can do something against Wolves. And as I say, for me, I just think it might just be a dodgy penalty, but I think he must get something soon.
What I see is I don't see the kind of the combination play in the corners. For example, Trent's getting wide. As Salah gets to the corner of the box, Trent's overlapping him wide, and there being an interplay with them two and one of the center mids, right? Because what they've done in the past, Trent will go wide, it'll spread the defense, then they'll pass it backwards to a midfielder, and that midfielder will one-time it inside to Salah, who will wrap around the one of the center backs. That combination isn't happening. So Trent is getting wide and kind of stopping in line with Salah. Salah plays it wide, and they're not penetrating, and then they have to go backwards and recycle. So they need to get the combinations on the flanks with Robertson and Mane on one side, and Trent and Salah on the other side, and those combinations need support from the central midfielders. To your point, man, and that support isn't coming quickly enough or effectively enough.
Oh dear.
So, Salah captain, let's go.
Right, so let's just quickly get a couple more questions out. I found one now, so I don't know if we're jumping forwards, but I think we have to because we're getting towards 2 hours. So if we miss any, do accept our apologies. Joseph, for those still having a bench boost in hand, when do you think is a good time to play it? I personally have both wildcard and bench boost, something I've considered to using blank game week 33. So I mean, my thoughts here on the bench boost is the first option I can think of is 30 now. Because if you've set yourself up for 29, a lot of the players flow through into 30 and have really good fixtures. For example, your 3 Leeds assets will be playing, if you had 3, would be playing Sheffield United. Now, I know people have been burned on Leeds bench boosts before now, but my point of view is that might not be a bad one. And I think there's some other, I think from memory, again, I put that thread on Twitter a few weeks ago now, and it's still there. So if people, I've pinned it on my Twitter, Joseph. So if you want to go on there, it shows you 30. It's a single game week at the moment, and there is a chance that it could be a double game week, isn't there? Still, I think there's a chance that the Everton game could drop in there, as it could drop into 31 or 32, and God knows where else it could drop, quite frankly. But I think the first option I would say would be 30 from now. But then I think we just have to pay homage to Ben Crellin and see what's happening.
Yeah, another option could be towards the end of the season. Even planning something like I don't know. It depends on the state of your team. If you can kind of, I think the bench boost, maybe even the final day wild card, 36 or 37 bench boost 38. A lot of fun.
Well, the other option is you could bench boost in. You could wild card in 31 at the fixture turn. And if there's a double game week dropped in 32, that might be an ideal way to bench boost there. Or equally, you could actually dead end up to a bench, but you can even dead end up to it to 30, bench boost in 30, then wild card out of it as well. That's another option. So you could absolutely load up with 30 players in the knowledge that you don't have to worry about the fixture change.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of ways around it, I think. Righty ho. I think there's been a few other questions in there. Hang on, here's one, I think. Will Soucek rotate keepers?
Yes. No.
Do you think?
No, Tuchel said that Mendy's their guy.
Has he? Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Even after starting, he said Mendy's my number one keeper. So I can see.
We have a recent one from Banger.
Right. Okay. Is it? Oh, we're heading to the front, to the back, to the end of the questions now.
Yeah, I think we're getting there. We have one from Shravan and Banger.
Right. Okay.
Week against Fulham.
For me, no.
Yeah, no, for me as well.
I just don't know what's happening.
I say yes.
You would probably go for it, yeah. But I can see why you're thinking it. But for me, I just can't. I know he should play. Yeah. But there's this Champions League game kicking around, isn't there?
Champions League coming, and you never know what they might do.
And that's enough for me. That's just enough for me to. I mean, the only good thing about it is if you do captain him, they often don't come on.
And that's what I was. That was the point I was going to make. Is I think he's a great captain shout against Fulham. One, because if he is rested, he's not likely to come on. Two, if he plays on that right side, he'll be attacking Fulham's left, which is where they concede. So I think he's got a great matchup against Fulham. He was recently rested, even and he's super important to the team. Already had his rest. I think he's a fantastic captain shout this week.
Oh dear! I mean, I know what you mean, because it would have been a thought for me, but I'm just, like I said, I think I've just been spooked by Pep once too many times in recent weeks, and I just see it going horribly wrong. Here's the question from Siva. Speaking of dodgy penalties, how do you feel about Bruno this week and going forwards? Surya, I'm having a look at the matchups. What's your talking?
Come
on, put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know why every trick question I think I put it.
I'm going to respond on it. Don't worry.
But, okay.
So West Ham.
I'm not. I mean, for me, I sold Bruno, and I'm not chasing dodgy pens. That's not how I like to play this game. When I do chase them, when you chase them, you don't hit them. So I'm not even going to worry about dodgy pens, even think about them. But that said, I am interested starting in game week 32 against Burnley. Then I'll be back on Bruno after the Tottenham fixture, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton in 30 at home, that could be tough, but I think I'm going to hold him. I think I'm just going to hold him. I've got more value in Bruno than I have in Salah. Salah's an easy sell for me, even though I'm looking like I'm captaining this week. I think that'll be the last hurrah for me. I think I'm probably more likely to hold Bruno. I think I'd also say it depends where you are in your rank.
Yeah.
As well. Maybe for me to sell Bruno could be a pretty dangerous thing to do. To be honest. Okay. Yeah. Just have a quick look. I think is that about it? I think we're finished, are we?
There's one more.
We needed a who to bench one. We normally get who to bench in expectations. We normally get tons of those, and they're absolute nightmares. So, Gabe, I'm going to ask you this one: who to bench? Antonio, Mount, or Gundogan?
Oh, come on. Give me the rest of your team. I don't want to bench any of them.
You don't get them. You don't get them. You just got to go for it, man.
I mean, I think, to be perfectly honest, Wait, West Ham. Remind me who West Ham play, because my brain's still on 29. West Ham.
West Ham playing United. It's United, isn't it? Today?
Yeah, West Ham play United. I bench Antonio. Bench Antonio. He didn't look good. He looked tired last game. United looked good. So you have a player 1 game out of form. United 1 game in form. And I just like Mount Leeds, great matchup. And you can't bench the City guys yet.
I agree with you. I'd play Gundogan and Mount. I'd bench Antonio, and if Gundogan didn't turn up, then you've got Antonio coming off the bench anyway. So that's the way I would do it anyway.
Yeah.
Surya, same.
Yeah, same. I will do that. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think could Gundo be benched? Yes, I think.
Yeah, I think very likely. Very likely.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
And I think that's that. I think we're through. We've gone over the 2-hour point. This is why we need to split this This is why we need to split it up.
Yeah.
100% split it up. But anyway, people have still been on. We've had people on all the way through, right from the start. So we can't say much more than thank you very much for everybody to put up with all the various shenanigans which have been going on for the last 2 hours. Various stuff. So, that's it, boys. Thank you, Gabe. I'll see you in a few hours. Well, I won't see you. I'll hear you in a few hours.
We'll
we're on stereo. I think it's 9 o'clock Singapore. So what's that? That's beer o'clock in LA, right?
Yep, absolutely. Beer o'clock, rum o'clock, wine o'clock.
LA. So you'll be on the beer. I'll be on the coffee. It'll have to be a strict hour because I've then got to go to bloody hospital and then to work. So it's one of those long busy days.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that. Anybody wants to join us, please do join us on stereo. We'll post the link. And it's really good. You can come and ask us questions and talk about anything. Last week with Nima was really good. I don't know if anybody listened to it, but I have to say we talked about all sorts, and it was so nice. Talking about the past. Even when he came to the UK all those years ago. So really cool. It's really cool just to have just general chit chats. So that's it. Surya, thank you very much as always. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And there's a nice, great stream. What have we got? Good night. It's 1 a.m. Someone's just said. I'm just trying to find, as usual, I'm trying to find the thing to take it off. There it is. There we go.
Just before we go, there was a request that I missed earlier to say Cesar Azpilicueta. So I'll throw that one out for everybody as well.
And on that note, Gabe, good night. Right, guys. Whoops! I'm right the way through here now. Well, let me go off that. I'll just move back.
Still another hour.
Oh, it's all going bloody wrong as usual. And you wait till this style of captaincy, it's going to get even worse. Right, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to say goodbye like this. It's a better way. Guys, thank you very much. We've been over 2 hours again. As always, please do give the stream a like. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell for notifications. We're delighted to do what we're doing. We're excited about where it's going. We're excited about the game week, I think.
We're excited to bring everyone along with us on this great ride.
Gabe isn't. But I'm excited about all these new names which we're going to get for Gabe to have to say in future weeks as well. So thank you very much, everybody. And we will catch you again really soon. And
visit allaboutfpl.com.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All about FPL.com. Sorry, I've not got my notes now because it's all gone wrong. All about FPL.com. It's all there. It's there anyway. I can see it on there. No, as always, your article will be up on All About FPL in the morning.
The next job is to go publish that. So, yes.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thank you very much. See you all soon. Hope some green arrows. All the best, guys. Take care. Bye.